Why do we obsess over the unknown? Why do we always need an answer? Is there always an answer? Why, as a society, are we transfixed on the morbid? Why do we seek solace in the darkest and most twisted realities? He was one of history's greatest monsters. He was synonymous with the devil himself. He was Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper's reign of terror of 1888 in Whitechapel, East London, resulted in the brutal murders of at least 5 prostitutes: Polly Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. Each were mutilated beyond recognition, their throats slashed, their bodies found dismembered. In some cases, their organs were missing. On this journey of investigation, I had the great fortune to meet entrepreneur and the author of Naming Jack the Ripper, Russell Edwards.
That's better.
So,
Could you take a photograph of me?
Absolutely.
Yes. So is your surname Russell?
Yes.
Do
Yeah.
you want to know something? My whole life, everyone's called me Russell thinking it was my surname.
His book details the process of identification, from the breakthrough purchase of a shawl found at the murder scene of Catherine Eddowes, to conducting and receiving 2 100% DNA matches to the living descendants from samples found on the shawl. The story is incredible. Most importantly, it points towards a man named Kosminski as being the Ripper. Aaron Kosminski was a Jewish Polish hairdresser who lived in Whitechapel during the 1888 murders. He was a certified schizophrenic who suffered from audible hallucinations and was institutionalized from 1891 until his death at Leavesden Asylum in 1919. Russell has spent the better part of 2 decades working to unmask the killer, and he was kind enough to share his findings with me.
So I've actually got, I knew that whatever I did, if this came on top, then someone would look through this work sooner or later. So I've even got research day 1, the very first day, what I did, the actual, and I've kept every single piece of paper all the way down. That's what was going on for Aaron Kosminski to the day of his death, at least in the asylum. And here they've got one that is case register. So that's the 14. This is before that, and this was, they had him as dementia secondary, which again they didn't really classify properly back then. So it's confidential
They thought more dementia.
Well, they put it there, but no, he was schizophrenic.
Yeah.
No, they don't say that the classification of paranoid schizophrenic doesn't exist anymore nowadays. They changed that. But we definitely know. Oh, I've got something very good for you. Yeah. This is the stuff I can show you, see. Alright, so he was in 1891, on the February the 7th, they put him in Colney Hatch Asylum. He'd been locked away at Mile End Workhouse for a while. This is when they moved him to Leavesden. This is the one letter I think he did write, which is the From Hell letter.
That's actually him.
No. We haven't got a copy of the handwriting, so you can't say.
No.
Whatever I've done, I've stuck to fact.
Yeah.
But what I can say is it's the only letter not signed by Jack the Ripper, and it's written with lots of mistakes in there, purposely or not.
So that's From Hell. That's the movie.
That's
with Johnny Depp.
Absolutely, and this is the one where half a kidney was sent to George Lusk on the 16th of October.
My feeling is, people are obsessed with the story and don't want to believe the possibility that the Ripper may have been identified.
Would you say that you are or have been obsessed with this case? Like, has it been your waking thought every...
It was at one point, yeah. because I really was, when you're in it, it's very hard. You're completely blinkered. It's sort of, you become separated, and all you want to do is do that work. The best way to do that. So there's a great film called Zodiac, and that's about a guy called Robert Graysmith.
Yeah.
And there's a point where he becomes obsessed, and you go in his living room, and there's boxes and files, and I've been there. So so I completely identify with that man for how he did the Zodiac, you know. So yeah, at one point I was very, very immersed in the story, but it was my wife got me out of it.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Having talked to Russell for some time, I wanted to gain a deeper understanding of how he feels about the people that are still sceptical when the evidence is there in black and white.
They've got their own agendas anyway.
Yeah, so what would you say to them?
Crack on. I just have no interest in them at all.
No.
There's nothing there. You know what, here's the facts, here's the proof. Look, I didn't just go and read a couple of books and say it was him.
No, exactly. That's, you didn't just
no, not what they do.
make a proclamation.
Exactly. And I think these people just, you know what, you're just as good as the people standing on the crates at Speaker's Corner, Hyde Park every Sunday morning. Go and do that.
Yeah.
You know, because look, we've done this. I don't see why I get knocked. I know I'm hated by a lot of people.
But why is that? Why are you hated?
Just sad, sorry people. That's all. Yeah.
The second leg of my journey takes me to Leavesden Asylum in a quiet village in Hertfordshire. The old hospital was decommissioned in 1997 and has since been repurposed into flats. Some of the old building still remains, and the Leavesden Hospital History Association carries out tours on a regular basis. I caught up with Martin Brooks, and he offered me an insight into the institution's past and present.
If you could go back to 1888 Whitechapel, would you?
Probably not really, knowing what I know about Victorian London at that time and what was going on in Whitechapel in the what they call the Autumn of Terror or the Autumn of Blood from August of 1888 until November of 1888. No, I probably wouldn't transport myself back to those times. I do like the Victorian era, which is kind of what I specialize in when I do my research and everything, especially Victorian asylums such as Leavesden Asylum. But yeah, I probably wouldn't go back there. It wasn't the best of times back in those days. So.
The tours are incredibly successful in the village, with hundreds of people wanting to see a place that is potentially associated with Britain's first accepted serial killer. There is even a haunting rumour that he is buried in this graveyard. I spoke to my aunt and uncle, who are local to the area, about their opinions on the connection.
That's a really interesting question, actually, having lived here for the past 20 years and actually really only becoming aware of the whole association of Jack the Ripper and Abbots Langley and the whole Leavesden Hospital. So on the one side it's kind of a little bit spooky, standing here now in a graveyard where looking around he could actually be buried, but also it's interesting from a point of view of panache for the village that we may have that mass murderer, that horrible person who committed those heinous crimes very close to us now. I mean, how do you feel about that,
I just feel that he's a notorious woman killer. I don't want people coming here in their droves, coming to see his grave, supposedly his grave. That's it, really.
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's good and bad now, I guess, in some respects, because it'd be really nice to know, but I think you really made a good point, the fact that actually, if he is here, then, what we now know in this tranquil little place could be trampled on by lots of kind of like gun-ho tourists. So, yeah, mixed feelings, really.
Whilst filming in the graveyard, I started talking to two people who turned out to be ex-asylum nurses. They did not wish to appear on camera, but divulged a secret which highlights the obsessive power of the Ripper's story. After the initial association came into the public domain, doctors and nurses working at Leavesden tried to access the archives to find out further information about Kosminski. A few days later, a notice was sent down from management strictly forbidding any further investigation. For one final time, I spoke to Russell Edwards about his achievements. He had this to say.
I had the opportunity to do something that's just not regular.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to change history. And rather than just saying Russell Edwards built some houses, had a few kids, did a few care homes, God rest in peace, I had the opportunity to have the possible title of Russell Edwards, the man that solved the mystery of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't go for that?
It is likely everyone on the planet will never cohesively accept the identity of Jack the Ripper. Our obsessions with serial drama and the unknown are too powerful. It is a mystery that has lived for over 130 years, and many are perhaps scared to let it go. Believe what you wish, but through the mountains of research, one name rises to the top: a man named Kosminski.